feeds your family, makes you happy, makes you healthy, okay?
Serves the community.
And pays off that debt that we've created.
Okay.
Right. So why ain't more bonkers people doing it?
Yeah.
All right.
Right? So if I bought another house, I'd be working for another 40 years paying it off.
Yeah.
If I buy a small piece of land,
you can live on it and it
live
pays
on
for
it,
you.
Yeah.
have wonderful times with my family, and create a business that pays for it. Sign me up, Buttercup.
All right. So I can find land,
Yeah.
buy land,
Yeah.
somehow find a way for the land to pay for itself,
Yeah.
build my own house,
Yeah.
grow whatever food that I want,
Yeah.
whether that's animals or
Fish
or vegetables. Yeah.
cereal crops, grow excess to sell, to market. If you want to turn, see, a lot of people think about money, they think of it as, you know, a £10 note, a £5 note. I've got lots of £5 notes. But if you look at it, I mean, all that is a note, a promise to pay. It says, if you read on it, I promise to pay the bearer the sum of, right? It's what's called a promissory note.
Yeah.
It represents the right to something. But if you went to the Bank of England and asked them to make good their promise, all they would say is they'd just give you another promissory note.
Yeah.
It's a circular argument. In the old days, they would go and give you the equivalent amount of gold. That's what it was. It was a promise to give you gold. That note was a security that says, I've got this amount of gold stored in the bank. They don't do that anymore, right? So most people go, oh, I've got lots of money. But all money is the right, if you think of it as stored energy, it's a unit of energy. So you've put some energy into something, you've given it to someone else, or you've done something for someone else. They can't, you've got nothing to trade for with them at that time. So they give you a promissory note, which you can then share with someone else. Instead of going to the bank and trading it in for gold, which is what used to happen in the old days, you could then give that to a third party and say, here, you can have my note, you can go and trade it in for gold. And then that person trades it to someone else and gives it to them. So, because we all believe it's worth the gold that's in the bank.
Yeah.
Now there is no gold in the bank.
What?
But we still keep yeah, that's right.
What?
It's fake.
What?
So we still keep passing around the notes, but one day someone's going to wake up and go, oh, this note's just a piece of paper, right? But the plants you plant, the trees you plant, the animals you grow, they're real. They're tangible. They're real things. You can eat those plants and vegetables. You can live and survive off them. You can't eat a £10 note.
Now it's polymer now, isn't it?
And polymer, yeah. And it's losing value at the rate of 10% a year, probably. So you have a £10,000 in the bank. Next year, it's only worth £9,000.
Yeah.
Okay.
You know, and the year after, it's worth 8,200 and whatever the diminishing return of it is. Whereas you plant 10,000 garlic bulbs, next year you'll have 100,000 garlic bulbs.
Damn straight.
How about that for a return on your investment?
So, here's a kicker of a question.
Come on then.
Yeah.
Everybody knows, this is in the news all the time,
Yeah.
that the farming sector is not doing very well. They're not
Right.
making very much money.
Yep.
Like,
Yep.
why the heck would we
Yeah.
enter this?
Yeah, I had this.
In the current state of farming.
I had this row a few months ago, actually. I've just come up with a strapline. Go small, go local. Small holdings.
Sorry, so what was that question again? Because I don't think we got that. Your question.
Yeah. Why would we get into this?
Yeah, why we're going into farming
Yeah.
when we can see that the farming industry is struggling at the moment and suffering.
Right. Sorry, Scotty. Yeah.
Right, I think you handled this, the political piece, and then I'll provide the solution. Because small holdings are the answer to this mess.
Yeah. Okay. So farming is traditional. I say traditional. Modern farming methods are struggling. So since the Second World War, obviously there's not many people alive now who will remember it, but at the end of the Second World War in Europe in particular, there was quite a bit of starvation, particularly in Holland and places like that. In Britain, we got through it because the country was blockaded, so we couldn't get the imports. We still, prior to the Second World War, we imported a lot of food because America had opened up and South America, so it's cheaper to get the food from there. British farming was on a downer in the period from the First World War until the Second World War. So it only kicked up during the war because we had to feed our people. It was dig for victory was the phrase that some people may have heard of, to stop the population starving. Yeah. And apparently during the war, people were extremely healthy because they were out exercising and they were eating, homegrown food.
With nutrients in.
With nutrients directly from the soil. But after the Second World War, a lot of people returned. the country wanted to modernise, and two things happened. Farming, rightly so, the government thought, right, we don't want to be in that position again. We need to make sure farming is a strategic thing. We need to keep the food coming in. So they were focused and obsessed about productivity, and productivity was measured in yield, and you'll even hear it today. Yield, for most farmers, is still considered how much the food weighs. Now, if you think about it, that's quite strange, because the weight of food is effectively how much gravity force is on your weight is a measure of the gravitational force on your mass of your body, or the mass of this table, or this whatever. It's how much gravity is forcing it's a representation of the gravitational impact on this item of mass. So the weight of food is not really a measure of the quality of the nutrient content, how good it's going to be for years, but it's a measure of how much water is there in it. Because if I dehydrate this, if I stick this in a big oven and take all the moisture out, I'm left with a bit of dust, right? Which weighs virtually nothing. But all the water is gone. Now it doesn't weigh anything. So really, the more water I can get in an item, in a crop of food, the heavier it is, the higher the yield, because look how much it weighs. And that was great at a time when food always had the nutrients in, going back thousands of years. They would measure it that way because you didn't need to worry about the nutrients.
Done its job.
Yeah.
So what's
but now,
the issue with modern
farming?
issue
with modern farming now is the soils have been depleted through overuse of pesticides, herbicides, fungicides, and fertilizers. And the reason that has happened is because after the war, if you want, I don't think I can say it on the video, but certain items that were used in the war quite a lot that resulted in things disintegrating when these things were dropped on them, those things used a main ingredient that's used in fertilizer. So when the war finished, there was no use for these things that made things disintegrate. So they thought, what can we do with it? It works as fertilizer. And so nitrogen fertilizer was thrown on the land, and it increased the growth of food rapidly. Now, that was fine, but when plants grow
at that time,
when plants grow quickly, and this is something that is relatively recently understood, plants share about 30, when a plant grows, it takes sunlight and it does a thing called photosynthesis. Most people learn that at school when they take
classic A-level biology.
Biology, right? Photosynthesis. So it takes the sunlight energy, takes in carbon dioxide, uses water, converts it into sugars, different types of sugars. But 35% of the sugars that a plant produces through photosynthesis, it shares with the soil microbiome. I mean, it could vary in different locations because the plant needs all sorts of micronutrients, but it can't get them from the soil on its own. It gets them from a relationship and an association with bacteria and fungi and archaea and all sorts of other organisms that live in the soil, many of which haven't even been identified today. But these organisms, bacteria can go down 400 meters into the Earth's rock. They can break through solid rock and granite. Bacteria have been found in granite. And so these fungal hyphae networks, basically, and the bacteria that they're associated with, effectively share and go into the plant roots and the rhizome area, which is the root area of the plant. And the plant thinks, I need some boron, I need some magnesium or manganese or whatever. And so it will send these sugars to attract the bacteria and attract the fungi to live in the root zone. And the fungi go, I need sugar. So they share, just like we do in a society,
So there's a whole interconnected network.
Yeah,
so
all of that.
Avatar, when all the roots of all the plants were
all of that.
talking.
That's it.
All of that.
Actually based in.
That's true.
That's right. It's
That's
Avatar.
true. Now,
so the business model is wrong within modern farming.
Okay.
Because modern farming puts fertilizer on. Now, if the plant has all the nitrogen it needs for rapid growth, it goes, why am I sharing my sugars with all these bacteria? I might as well keep it all myself. And in fact, I want to grow really quickly because I've got the nitrogen that boosts my growth, kicks off my growth, so I need all that sugar for myself. So it grows even faster, but it doesn't share with the soil. So if I'm a little fungi.
Hi, fungi.
Why am I going to hang around here? I'm not getting fed. What am I going to do?
That's how the soil dies.
And that's
exactly.
So literally killing the soil.
That's right. So the business model is wrong.
Yeah.
The business practices are wrong.
Yeah.
Which results in foods that weigh a lot, with no nutrients, which is keeping our communities unhealthy.
We've got more...
Which then puts more people in hospital, which puts more people in medicines, which pays more tax to the government, and that's why the government are propping up the farming industry.
Because I was wondering, like, why is the government always giving bursaries and funding and grants?
They're propping it up.
farmers?
Well, and to the NHS.
And to the NHS. Yeah.
Every day, if you ever listen to BBC Radio 4, which I was brought up with, every single day they'll mention, the BBC, the radio, BBC, the NHS is in crisis. The NHS is in crisis. And I'm sure it is. But it's always in crisis. It's been in crisis all my life.
Yeah.
It's always been, and it always needs more money. And it always will need more money. Because we produce more food than ever. The farmers are absolutely brilliant at doing their job and producing food. We produce more food than ever, and we've got the highest levels of chronic illness than ever.
Damn straight. It was a meme on Instagram, and it caught my eye, and it was like a bloke just thinking like this. He was going, "Why do they call the health food aisle health food? What does it make all of the other food?"
That's right.
So where we were talking about the lack of nutrients in our food nowadays, because we know the root structures kaput across big farming, and we're making strides towards that, but the lack of nutrients in our food has got to be addressed, and I think more small holdings, going small, going local, growing nutrient-rich food to supply your local community is one part of the solution of the broken big farming industry.
I agree.
Yeah.
Okay.
So let's get more bonkers people doing it.
Let's do it.
So modern farming is broken because it's so big, uses artificial chemicals and fertilizer.
Wrong business models.
Wrong business models.
Yeah.
Exploitative, because even the farmers can't make money, real money.
Yeah.
And propped up by government funding.
Okay. Yeah, that's not how you grow a business if it's
if it relies
up by government funding.
Yeah, the system is broken, isn't it, if it relies on government funding.
All right, so that now makes sense that small holding is the way to go because...
It can help the answer.
Yeah.
It's not going to solve everything.
No.
Yeah.
But let's reverse the people that have all rushed into the cities, get all those people that want freedom and want to have healthy food and supply their community back out to the land and work small parcels of land that can be sived off of the big farming industry and feed good food to good people.
So small holding has lower overheads than modern big farming. The produce is better. Actually, you might know. Somebody told me that the produce that goes into supermarkets, even if it started off organic, still has pesticide sprayed on it.
Well, no. Organic systems can use certain pesticides and herbicides, but they have to be they have to be approved by either Soil Association or for organic farmers and growers.
Yeah.
So it doesn't mean that they definitely have, because there are organic growers who don't use anything. But there are certain treatments that you can use, and I couldn't tell you what they are at the moment, but for another future podcast, I can get all that information. That would be very useful to. So some of it, just because it's organic, it doesn't mean to say it hasn't got pesticides on it, but they are ones that have been approved by Soil Association or organic farmers and growers.
So if I grow my own food, there is none of it in it. I'm guaranteed.
You can guarantee, but that's the only way you can guarantee, because you're right. The certification bodies can allow certain products that but might not agree with you. So you grow your own food. You know what's on it, and that's what you put on it. So you and your family have the opportunity to have pure, clean, unadulterated food if that's what you choose to do.
Sounds disgusting.
It's lovely, I can tell you. But I mean, you should have the right to eat pure, unadulterated food. But interesting enough, just while we're on that point, we haven't really talked much about animals. But I don't think it's come into place yet. But I think it's coming into place in September. I heard that the government are now going to insist that anyone with a chicken, and you've got chickens, has to register every chicken, even if you've got one chicken.
Something like that.
So at the moment, I think it's 50,000.
Yeah, it's meant to be.
It's a huge amount.
There's a threshold of chickens that you can have, because I looked at chicken farming as well.
Yeah.
But yeah, there's a certain threshold that once you go past, you have to register every chicken.
Yeah, I think they're bringing it down to one, which is absurd, isn't it? I mean, there's birds flying in and
what
out.
If I have a pet?
Yeah, I know.
Not produce chicken.
What the cluck are they thinking of?
Allegedly, it's because of bird flu, but I'm like, what, are they going to register every pigeon and sparrow and robin and
because they're carrying the bird flu.
They're all over the place,
chickens.
aren't they? You know,
Yeah.
it's a bit odd. And I think if you think about it, it's bureaucrats who've never ever farmed.
No, of course not.
Telling the people who have farmed or run their small holdings
Yeah.
what to do, as is always the case.
Just like the people who decide how much money people should get on benefits have never been on benefits. So, it's that whole mess. Yeah. But I think we've reached a good point to end this episode. It's been fantastic so far. Oh. So we found out that you can buy land.
Yep.
There are more than just the typical mortgage way to buy land.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
And once I've bought the land, there is a way to get planning permission for me to build on it.
Yeah. But we haven't gone into detail on that.
We haven't.
We will
I think let's go into that on the next episode.
Yeah.
And I can live on the land and grow my own produce, and the land will typically pay for itself if I start a farming business.
Yeah.
Damn straight. You get a free house in the country.
And you're healthy.
Yes.
Say what?
You and your family can live healthy lives.
It's fantastic.
Viva la revolution.
Viva la revolution. Thank you so much for joining us. We shall see you on the next episode, where we will get deeper and deeper into all of the topics surrounding buying your own land, building your own farm, setting up a farm business in whatever shape or size, and having the land pay for itself while you build your entire life and your freedom. We shall see you on the next one. This has been the Smallholding Revolution podcast. Fantastic. You take care.
Viva la revolution.
Love that.